Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Select Board meeting, Monday, March 18th, Wacoit Meeting Room, Mashpee Town Hall, 16 Great Neck Road North, Mashpee, Mass. 02649, broadcast live, cable channel 8, stream live on the Mashpee website. I'd like to convene the meeting at 6:33 in open session, and I'll start the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I also have a moment of silence, please? Thank you. We got one quick minute. We'll jump to discussions and approval of temporary sign permit, Boston Interiors, for their annual tent sale, May 16th, 2024 to May 20th, 2024.
This is what they do every year.
Yep, so it's an annual,
Exactly.
so,
Motion to approve.
I'll second that.
all right, I have a first and a second. Any discussion? Not hearing any? All in favor?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. All right. And 6:35, public hearing, and this is for 2024 seasonal alcoholic beverage and entertainment license renewals. And Carol, if you may.
Pursuant to the Chapter 138, subsection 16A of Massachusetts General Laws, the Select Board, acting as the licensing authority for the town of Mashpee, will conduct a public hearing on the 2024 seasonal alcoholic beverages and entertainment license renewals. Said hearing will be held Monday, March 18, 2024, at 6:35 p.m. in the Wacoit Meeting Room, Mashpee Town Hall, 16 Great Neck Road North, Mashpee, Mass. I don't know if you want to do them
We
breaking
can
down or
I can
as a whole.
read them out.
Okay.
Mr. Collins, are you aware of any standouts or any exceptions to what's in front of us today?
No, I'm
No.
not.
Okay, a motion to approve package store, all alcoholic, Mashpee Mart, MPG Corporation, and Papaneset Fresh Market.
Second.
Second that motion.
All right, I have a first and a
Excuse me,
second.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
We need to close the public hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
Mike,
make
you're
a
good
motion
idea.
to close the public hearing.
Second.
I have first and second. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
And I'm a yes.
okay. Package store, all alcoholic.
Thank you, Wayne.
Mashpee Mart, MPG Corporation, and Papaneset Fresh Market. Restaurant, all alcohol, Bob's Seafood Cafe, Cook Seafood, Velour, New Berry Athletic Club and Pool, Papaneset Inn, the Raw Bar.
That's first.
Mo-
Second.
You just second on
Second.
that? Yes.
All right, first and second. Any discussion? Not hearing any. Carol?
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
Michaela? And I'm a yes. That's it, right? It's an easy renewal. Discussion of, actually, that's the same.
presentation.
Yep, presentation to Cape Cod Regional Technical High School, fiscal year 2025 budget, and Cape Cod Regional Technical High School Business Administrative, Erin Orcutt.
Orcutt, yep.
Hi, Erin.
Hello, thank you for having me back again. Okay. Dr. Sanborn sends his regrets, but unfortunately with a 12-town school district and many boards of finance and select, I think we're up to about 16 or 17 presentations this year, so we try to divide and conquer a little bit, and I'm the one who lives 6 miles from here, so you get me. Okay. I am presenting the FY25 operating budget to you. This budget was developed in consultation with our finance subcommittee of the school committee. Mr. Tullio, Mr. Mashad, and Mr. Galazzi assisted Dr. Sanborn and myself and our treasurer, Gary Costin, in developing this year's operating budget. I want to start with the enrollment. It's a little bit cut off here, but I can summarize it in telling you that last year we were at 664 students. This year we are at 662 students, a 2-student overall decrease. But as I can direct your attention to the town of Mashpee, your student enrollment has actually increased by 5 students, which is wonderful. So we moved from 50 students to 55 students from the town of Mashpee this school year. This is just a quick snapshot of what the overall enrollment looks like. As you can tell, Barnstable and Yarmouth make up over 50% of our overall enrollment, with the other 50% remaining from our various sending towns, of which Mashpee is a very large contributor of. I also wanted to share a 6-year enrollment history with you. As you can see in FY20, we really did hit our low of student enrollment at 570 students. But in the years since then, especially with the opening of our brand new beautiful building, we are up to 662 students. These numbers, 664 and 662, are the highest that we've had, I would say, in well over a decade. The building's pretty bustling, pretty full, and we really are at max capacity, with the exception of being able to take a few more kids here and there. We did just accept, we had 457 applications for this incoming freshman class, and we were able to send out acceptance letters to a little over 180 of those students. So the budget I'm presenting to you tonight is a 4.38% increase over FY24. That's a numerical increase of $734,000 for a total operating budget of $17,484,000. Again, Cape Cod Tech has tried to be a good steward of its district's finances. We have attempted to keep our budget under 3%, as you can see. Unfortunately, in FY24 and now in FY25, that's becoming a lot more difficult to accomplish. There are many things that drive up this budget, including the inflation and cost of increased supplies, an 8% increase in our employee insurance through Cape Cod Municipal Health Group. But also what should be recognized is that FY24 is the last year of what we call our ESSER funds. So we really are hitting the quote-unquote ESSER cliff that we expected. And going into next year, we've had to find some creative ways to absorb some of the services that we've been able to provide over the past few years, utilizing those excess grant funds. So where does the money come from that funds our budget? It's easy to see that almost 80% of the budget is funded by assessments from member towns. This number is actually down slightly over the past few years because, fortunately, state aid has risen in the past few years with the passage of the Student Opportunity Act. So that has increased our ability to receive state funding in the form of Chapter 70 and Chapter 71 funds. Lastly, you will see local revenue is our third offset for revenue for the budget. That is locally generated revenue from rental contracts, as well as interest income, but the vast majority of that, $750,000 of that, is coming from our excess and deficiency fund. Excess and deficiency is much like what you have in your town, as referred to as free cash. For excess and deficiency, we're allowed to carry up to 5% of our budget on hand. Currently, we are at the maximum for excess and deficiency, to the point where we have been able to turn funds back to the towns each year for at least the past 4 to 5 years. This year, again, we are using $750,000 of that to offset the assessments. Again, a quick snapshot of our budget versus its operating sources. You can see the blue line is the budget. The green is our assessments. red being state aid and purple being the local aid. Really what I want to show you, it is a little hard to see, is that as our budget is rising, luckily over the past few years, we have been able to decrease our assessments to member towns, again, through use of excess and deficiency funds and increased state aid. Again, the revenue versus the operating budget this year, a $17,484,000 budget is being offset by $815,000 locally. You can see over the past 5 to 6 years, we've tried to make a substantial effort to utilize that excess and deficiency as a funding source for our budget. So what is the money used for? It's very similar to your sending, your local schools, with the exception that a lot of our supplies are much more costly than a traditional high school. The cost of being able to operate our HVAC, plumbing, culinary shops has increased significantly with the cost of supplies increasing really since the end of the pandemic. It's becoming more and more costly to operate these shops, but we do try to be conservative in our spending. As you can see, a vast majority of our budget is comprised of teacher and support staff salaries and their benefits. That comprises about 75% of our budget, leaving the remaining 25% to go for educational materials, special needs support services, and just general upkeep of the building and insurances on the building. This slide really is just demonstrating in numerical fashion what I just spoke about. You can see insurance benefits are a very large cost driver of our budget at 11%, as is the maintenance of our facility. It's a beautiful, beautiful new building, but if anybody tries to tell you that it's that new buildings are cheaper, they're certainly not. They're very sophisticated and take quite a bit of upkeep as far as electronics, a lot of service contracts. We are saving in electricity costs, but it is definitely, the state-of-the-art buildings are definitely complex to maintain. Capital debt. We are 6 years into a 20-year fixed principal declining interest bond. We look to retire this in 2039, and each year I am able to give this approximate figure in the November timeframe, which I think is helpful to the towns. Unfortunately, I typically don't have your operating assessment until late January, but as soon as I do get those enrollment figures, I try to get the debt schedules out to you, and as you can see, we're plugging away. We're almost a quarter of the way there. These are the debt assessments for FY25. As you can see, Mashpee's debt assessment is $476,292. We take this and we add it to your operating assessment of $1,142,273. This is an increase over last year's assessment, an increase of $160,000, and again, that is attributable to your 5-student increase, in addition to what the state deemed Mashpee's minimum local contribution could be. Together, those two numbers end up in an assessment to the town of Mashpee for FY25 of $1,618,565. Lastly, I typically like to show you where we are on our OPEB funding schedule. We have a schedule that we are about 8 years into. We have gotten up to a $300,000 per year funding line in our budget, and we intend to keep it at that number until the debt retires. Right now, we are at a 14.35% net position to funding liability. We continue to make those contributions, and right now we are having very favorable returns as part of the Plymouth County OPEB Trust. That is the end of my prepared remarks, but I would be more than happy to take any questions.
I got a few. So, I mean, the 4.38%, and I understand the materials. First off, I'm a big supporter of the trade school, went to it myself in high school up north. So you mentioned the ESSER funds, the cliff.
Yes.
What does that mean for next year?
It's already impacted you for FY '25, so in
Is it
regards...
more of the same?
I'm sorry?
More of the same, but even worse?
I wouldn't say that. This was a year that we had to either make decisions to cut the positions that were brought on as in the effort to ensure learning during COVID, or we had to absorb them. We did absorb a custodian and a school nurse into our budget. That did add to why there is an increase. We do not have plans to increase staffing significantly. Dr. Sanborn is looking at different programming that would include a partnership for agricultural program. We have the opportunity we have entered into an intermunicipal lease agreement with the town of Harwich for a parcel of land that we plan to try to use to instruct students on environmental as well as agricultural and animal sciences. That is something that's in the future. We don't have plans to incorporate it into our budget at the moment. So that is something that could come into play in the future. But aside from that, we're really just looking at the fixed hard costs of our collective bargaining agreements and insurance costs and building costs.
So that will, so I'm assuming that will present like a new trade?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there, to that note, is there discussions about maybe what you can do with that from a farming, farm stand, something to generate funds from that perspective? Is that, I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but
I know that Dr. Sanborn has really looked at the job outlooks and what employability skills can be earned. This is, again, something that is, if a few years out into the future, the first step was securing this farm, and now it's to look for grant funds to try to build the infrastructure behind it. He wants to start slow and probably work on more environmental programs before we get into caring for animals. But yes, the idea is to, as we always do, utilize our shops to produce services for the townsfolk, for nonprofits, which ultimately any revenue that comes back in is used as an offset for supplies, materials, and equipment for the students.
okay. Another question as far as materials. I totally understand the growing cost, especially under COVID. It was extremely high. Has there been any discussion about with local suppliers as far as them donating their seconds, is that happening now, or is that under discussion?
It is absolutely happening now. We have wonderful relationships. Of course, I have to observe procurement laws, but we do have wonderful relationships with our local supply houses, our local industry. They give us significant discounts on the materials and equipment we do buy. We do have very close relationships within our program advisory committee members, which are typically made up of these same business owners, George O'Brien, Whiteley's Plumbing and Heating. They do donate a lot of money, time, materials, and resources to our students. So we're creative when it comes to that.
Yeah, because I'm just aware that there's, these, from a simple thing like Home Depot, or maybe it's Shepley's or Mid-Cape, they get material in, and it could be wood warped, slightly damaged. No builder's gonna use that, but
We do.
absolutely, because I've been in the trade, I understand, especially when you're using smaller pieces compared to,
Absolutely.
necessarily building a whole house. I have enough. I don't know, did anybody else?
I think you've covered most of it. So the increase really is the 5 additional students, the loss of ESSER funds, and that's the increase
It
pretty
is,
much.
and rising insurance costs for
Yep.
both a property liability, an 8% health insurance increase. which was a tough one to swallow. I'm actually the chair of the Cape Cod Municipal Health Group, so I have a very vested interest in making sure that those numbers come back very aggressive. But this is a very difficult year in the healthcare industry with rising healthcare costs, and we're as conservative as we really possibly can be.
And I would think as we see the debt decreasing, that will kind of level off any increases to some degree.
To some degree, and also we're looking forward to the sunsetting of the Barnstable County Retirement Assessment, which I think is set to sunset in 2036, 2038, and knowing that alone in our budget could free up over $500,000. We do hope to put some of that towards OPEB again to get that OPEB funded, but recognizing that we need to continue to be good stewardships of taxpayer funds.
I'll just touch bases just a bit. I think that we all would like to see other revenue streams. I don't know if you have night school at the facility
I have a very robust community evening program. We do offer programs of charge, but we also offer a lot of programs with grant incentives through the state that are free of charge to underemployed and unemployed members of our community. That being said, those costs do offset a small amount of the budget. We're creative. I have two significant lease agreements, one with the YMCA of Cape Cod and another with Cape Destinations, where we generate about $65,000 in lease revenue. Again, it's not much, but I do try to do what I can to shift the burden from our towns.
Right, and I figured as much, and the fact is that it's such a great facility. It's a nice building, well-designed. We always wish there were more activity going on at the buildings, but it appears as though you've been looking at it. And,
Every night, Monday through Thursday, I have at least 100 adults in the building.
you do.
We run programs, HVAC, landscape, health technologies, dental technologies, but really what we're most proud of right now are these programs that are free of charge, funded by the Workforce Investment Board of Massachusetts, that are giving real valuable skills in a short period of time to the adults in our community. So we've done a lot of outreach work to the point where I think I have to grow that and have more staffing at night because we have so many people in the building. As Dr. Sanborn says, I want this place hopping until 11 o'clock at night, and it really is.
Wow. Wow, that's great news.
It
You're
is.
doing a great job. Keep it up, and hopefully we can reduce the cost of the education, but
I'm trying.
it's a tough one. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, just one. Good.
Just had one question on your post-employment benefits. Plymouth County, any particular reason on that?
Plymouth County OPEB Trust was established, I think it was 2012. The idea
I
of
think it
being
said 2015.
15, okay. The idea of that is it's open not just to Plymouth County. It serves Essex County, Barnstable County, and a few others. It's the power of investment. We are, I believe, 50 million strong right now in our pooled investment portfolio. We're pooled with towns like Plymouth and Wareham and Hanover, where our tiny contributions are getting the benefit of this pooled investment. We've had fantastic returns, and the fees have been very reasonable, that we've made a substantial amount of earnings from it.
Thank you.
Good question. Yeah, if you can just pass on to Dr. Sanborn, our concern that just to obviously continue with the great education, but there is a concern of, the budget keeps going up and up and up. And I understand the restraints, it is what it is, but we also have to, answer to the taxpayers, and
Absolutely.
we are concerned about it, so. I
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, I believe it's interview, discussion, and possible appointments of the following.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Just want to let you know that candidate Wilcox has withdrawn, and we have a letter here that we'll distribute to the board, so there'll be no consideration. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So first up is going to be Conservation Commission, Sarah Thornborough. Member at large, term expires June 30th, 2024. And we should have the information in our packet.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
Hi, good evening.
How are you?
Fine,
Do you mind
thank you.
just introduce yourself and just give a little something about why you're interested in joining the committee?
Easy enough? Yeah.
Thank
Good
you.
evening. Yeah, my name is Sarah Thornbrew. I live at 41 Coombs Lane, just down the street. My husband and I have been here for just over 3 years. We have 2 very small kiddos. Our oldest daughter just turned 2, and our youngest will be 6 months old on Friday, and we plan to be here for a really long time. So very, very excited and invested in the environmental health and quality, sustainability of the Mashpee waters and lands. I have a pretty extensive background in education and conservation and environmental science, natural resource management.
Closer to the mic.
Sure.
I'll bring it
Is
It's
that a
for the
little bit better?
public, so they can hear.
Oh, okay. Is that a little bit better?
Perfect.
Oh,
It's a lot
great,
better.
great. So as I mentioned, I've had the privilege of having access to a pretty good amount of education and work experience in conservation. In Massachusetts, I've worked for the Department of Conservation and Recreation, Massachusetts Association of Conservation Districts, a small nonprofit over in Western Massachusetts, the Connecticut River Conservancy. I currently work from our home on Coombs Lane for a national nonprofit that is situated in the environmental justice and climate justice movement. I run their membership program. I've got an undergraduate degree in environmental science, graduate degrees in sustainable natural resource management, free choice science education, so I like teaching people about science and connecting them with being outside. And then I'm working on another graduate degree in ecological restoration, one class at a time, because of those aforementioned babies. So one day I'll finish that degree, but it won't be anytime soon. And very, very excited. I've worked with other conservation commissions on projects, both federally funded and private. So familiar with the process from the, I guess, the contractor seat, but very excited to learn more about how it works from the service side. And I'm very eager to serve the community in this way.
Well, so I got to say, everything we read in here is very strong, environment.
Thank you.
It's very impressive. And beyond that, a couple young children, and you want to give
Oh, yeah.
more, give back to Mashpee. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
No, I echo what you said. Thank you very much. You're certainly so well qualified, and we're
you.
very, very happy you applied and to have you.
I like
Thank
your
you.
passion.
Oh, thank you. I'll bring the kids to some site visits if it's okay.
That's great.
Keeps them young.
Does any,
A motion?
yeah?
A motion to recommend Ms. Thornberry for a full-time position with the Conservation Commission.
I'll
Second.
second that motion.
And is it the one,
Thornbrew.
Thornbrew? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Just wanted to clarify for the
No,
record,
thank you
that's
for
all.
asking.
So I have a motion and a second.
And just for clarity, that's to appoint.
To appoint.
Yes.
Okay, I think you said recommend.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thinking about the warrants, that's why.
I know. I'm so used to saying that.
Michaela,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Yes.
and I'm a yes.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations and thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. That's out. Public comments.
Stand over here at the podium.
You got, Wayne, the microphone's on, right?
Is it on? You can hear me?
Yes.
It
Okay.
sounds right, okay.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Wendy Williams,
Hey, Wendy.
35-year resident of Mashpee, homeowner, conservation author, many different things I do. I'm 249 Simons Narrows Road. Our community has a long and proud history of standing together in adversity. For generations, the people of Mashpee have drawn strength from our shared commitment to one another, guided by the spirit of unity and resilience that defines our town. This legacy is deeply rooted in the enduring presence of the Wampanoag Nation, whose unwavering determination and valuable contributions to our community remind us of the importance of standing together and supporting one another through the most challenging times. However, today we find ourselves at a critical juncture. The very fabric of our community's trust has been torn by the actions of certain elected officials who are meant to serve us. Bullying, disregard for open meeting laws, and backroom conversations hidden from public scrutiny have shattered the trust that is the very foundation of our democracy. Such actions erode the faith that we, the people of Mashpee, place in our representatives, striking at the very core of our democratic principles and threatening to erode the foundation upon which our community rests. As a candidate for the Select Board, I'm committed to restoring the bonds of trust between the people and their government. I pledge to lead with integrity, accountability, and transparency if elected. But first, we need to speak to the elephant in the room. As you all know, I'm a lifelong journalist. Our motto is, sunshine is the best disinfectant. So I'm going to speak to the issue of bullying. We have one person in town who has consistently bullied, intimidated, harassed, and harmed anyone who she perceives as standing in her way. For example, 2 years ago, she threatened our town planner, Evan Lair, that she would create, and I quote, a shit show if he did not do what she demanded that he do. Lair felt that she could go so far as to try to force his firing. Such intimidation by an elected official of a public employee is an actionable offense. Lair was so upset that he wrote a detailed memorandum about the interaction to our town manager, Rodney Collins. Today, I obtained that email through a public records request. I have copies of that here and an extensive packet that's available to you all and to anyone in the audience who wants to avail themselves of the paperwork. The pattern of backroom boss tweed behavior worthy of Donald Trump himself has continued on to the present day. I have in my packet a copy of a decision from the Attorney General that states that one of the committees run by backroom machinations by Mary Wagon violated the open meeting law. I have a copy of that decision that anyone can read. Wagon continues to hold her secret Thursday night Zoom meetings, attended by people like Liz Barbie and Marge Hecht, member of the self-appointed Envision Mashpee group.
Wendy,
Again, Donald Trump comes to mind.
10 seconds, wrap up,
In
please.
parting, I would like to point out that Wagon promised to make the comprehensive plan a shit show, and it is 2 years later, and she has done just that. The plan does not exist. I would like to point out to the Select Board that you members of the Select Board have the responsibility of reprimanding an out-of-control elected official. If you choose not to do that, the next time a public employee is harassed, the Select Board and the town can be sued, as well as the person who is harassing the employee.
Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you.
Communications and correspondence. New business, discussion and action approved by draft number 3 of the May 6, 2024 special and annual town meeting warrant articles. So, you got the, everyone's got the new?
Yep.
I have it, thank you.
Okay. All right. So what's in front of us, Mr. Collins, if I'm correct, so first one is the Article 6, right, page 2 and 3. All right.
To see if the town will vote to rescind the authority to issue the following unissued balance of the authorized bond or note pursuant to the vote adopted under the following article, to the extent not to previously exercise or take any other action related thereto. So this is town meeting was October 16, 2023. It was in Article 1. The balance was $4,500,000.
You're on Article 6 in the special, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, and the only thing that we did want to make the board aware of is that it should be 4.5 versus 7.5, primarily because that is all that was authorized. Although the total was, in fact,
7.5.
7.5, there was a portion that was being used by free cash. So the 4.5 should be the figure that is actually used, and I believe it's in your packet.
Yes.
That's why we put it on hold to
Okay.
clarify and
Right.
to vote on tonight. So we're good with, if we're good, a motion
A
to.
motion to recommend and approve.
I'll second that motion.
All right, I have a first and a second. Any other discussion? Not hearing any. Michaela?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. 4-0. Next up is
Article 2.
Article 10, page 5. And Article 10 also was, we put that on hold, and that's
Oh,
Pickerel Cove. So
did we get all the appraisals? Okay.
that was
I
on,
know that CPC was looking for a figure. They do not have it. That's my
so is this something,
understanding.
Have to-
I believe it'd be okay to, we can hold on this. Can't we hold on this?
No, we have to execute tonight.
Yeah, no, you can do it. Place it.
We did speak to the attorney, the legal counsel for the town, and he did approve it, as we have written here, transfer a sum of money that is legal to do with the CPC. So that's why it's in there that way. If you'd like to wait on approval to town meeting, you certainly can do that, and by then they may have that figure. You could do that.
So we can pass this as it is
So
written?
we can approve it, but just not recommend until at town
You
meeting.
can take no action.
No action.
You
Or-
could recommend with a figure to be determined. We don't have a figure for you right now.
But from a legal perspective, a sum of money is legally acceptable for us to approve and recommend.
That's what
Then I'm
we've been
okay with
advised.
that.
A motion to recommend and approve,
Second.
And this is for Article 10,
Article 10.
as read, as written.
Sum of money.
All right, so I have a first and second. Any discussion?
No,
Michaela?
the only thing I was going to question is there anything that we could have done just to say, and not to go beyond, so that we could no more than a certain amount of dollar
Well,
value?
because there are negotiations, we would not want to get into that because, to put it bluntly, the town would not want to show its hand.
Right. So as long as sum of money satisfies by legal counsel, and any other discussion?
I'm
Back to
good.
Kayla
Yes.
again?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Carol? And I'm a yes.
Page 16.
Article
So for the annual,
Article 5.
Article 5, page 16.
The article would repurpose the appropriation and borrowing authorization for capital improvements previously approved for the police department, HVAC, and DPW roof replacement in order to fund the DPW masonry wall restoration and the police station design and engineering.
And we were just waiting on final numbers on this.
Which is $2,780,000.
And this will require the ballot as well, and we've got it from bond council, the draft, which you should have.
You'll be voting
Or-
on that later.
You'd be voting on it later, but we do have it.
Okay.
A motion to recommend and approve Article 5.
I'll second the motion.
All right. Any discussion?
I have a quick question with regard to, and I know nothing about engineering a police station or designing a police station. It seemed high to me, but I'm sure there's a reason it is this high. Did we get multiple bids or?
I would want the DPW director
Okay.
in here for the breakdown, but that is the number that we were provided.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other discussion?
Okay. Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Emma, yes.
Article 6.
Article 6, page 16.
The article would reauthorize and extend by 3 years the authority to use $350,000 from Capital Stabilization Fund for the resurfacing of the Mashpee Middle and High School parking lot.
And this reauthorization is focusing on the length. I think it was going to expire for 3 years.
Okay. A motion to recommend and approve.
I'll second.
First and second, any discussion? Kayla?
yes,
Tom?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Article 7, page 17.
To see if the town will vote to repurpose the sum of $130,000 from the Department of Natural Resources FY 2023 capital account to the Department of Natural Resources FY 2025 capital account as recommended by the Capital Improvement Program.
Second that motion as well.
A motion to,
There's a first and a second, and it's self-explanatory as
Yes.
far as the
It is.
repurpose under the explanation, so I'm pretty clear with that. Michaela?
yes,
Tom?
Yes.
Carol?
yes.
And I'm a yes.
Article 8, to see if the town will vote to appropriate and transfer the sum of $273,858 from revenue available for appropriation to the loan orientation fee account, or take any other action.
I'll second that
we
motion.
have to,
And I just want to remind the board, this is a one-time processing fee for our state revolving fund. We have to cover this.
With the SRF, yep.
so motion to recommend and approve.
Second,
All right, first and second, any discussion? And again, the explanation's short and sweet, but clear. Michaela?
Yes,
Yes.
Carol?
yes.
And I'm a yes.
Page 21.
Article 18, page 21.
To see if the town will vote to raise, borrow, or transfer from available funds and appropriate the sum of $596,056 to provide for road improvement projects under Chapter 90 program. A motion to recommend and approve.
second,
And this is a hold?
We had it on hold.
No, we did have it, tonight, we're taking it off hold.
We actually didn't have a number, and we have received this number confirmed by the Commonwealth, and we have the letter right here, if anybody wants to see it.
So that's discussion, we have a motion, we have a second. Michaela?
yes,
Tom?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
Page 28. Article 32.
Article 32, page 28.
This article authorizes the select board to acquire the fee ownership or an easement in the private road Christopher Lane by exercise of the intimate domain or by deed or gift, and shall request authority to access betterments pursuant to the Mass General Law, Chapter 80, and any other applicable authority to ensure payment for the cost of the acquisition of the public ownership or easement and any improvements made to the road. This would also authorize the select board to accept the layout and complete the private to public conversion of Christopher Lane. A motion to approve and recommend.
second.
First and second, any discussion?
Were we just waiting for the dollar amount here? Was that
Well,
the hold?
also, I would point out, I think the key factor here is the timing in the possibility of saving money in concert with the wastewater project.
Sewer, right?
Thank you.
That's why this is before you.
Thank you.
Right? That is correct.
First and second, any further discussion?
Good.
Yes.
Michaela?
Yes.
Tom? Carol?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. 28. Article 33, page 29 and 30.
This requires a two-thirds vote.
We have a memo on this one.
I haven't.
We have a memo from the DPW director.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I just want to point out that there was information provided by the DPW director that you should all have.
That's what we were just talking, yep.
It's in your packet.
And the concern that she brought up is the area that's located in the petition in its entirety is in the floodplain. So DEP confirmed that the project would have to file a notice of intent, and they would have to comply with their stormwater standards. And the proposed changes to the DEP regulation are increasing these standards. So I know the petitioner is here, and I certainly don't want to speak for the lead petitioner, but I know that the DPW director was concerned about the ultimate cost for the town as a result of this information, these standards. You can read the rest for yourselves relative to the potential cost. And if any of you don't have it, then
Engineering.
I can provide it for you. Do you have a copy of this? You-
We have this. I think it's the last one. Yeah, it's in the other one.
So the DPW director, who could not be here tonight, is recommending that the article be indefinitely postponed. It would allow the town a new estimate to be prepared and a new public hearing with the property owners. And she indicates the estimate provided by the town is the maximum cost that can be included in a betterment to the property owners. So any construction costs above this amount would have to be paid by the town. While there still may not be engineering design plans for the drainage, she points out the estimate can be adjusted to allow additional funds for permitting and engineering design, as well as a higher contingency for the project to cover any unanticipated costs. So it was obviously necessary to bring this to your attention. She could not be here this evening, but given the timeline with us, with the warrant, or you having to execute the warrant excuse me, this evening, I would suggest you take this into consideration.
I make a motion to therefore recommend that this article be definitely postponed.
Second that motion.
Okay. Any discussion?
I just have a clarifying question. So we can do this with a petitioner's article because of the cost to the town?
Yeah, well,
Or
what
the
I'm,
potential cost to the town based
yes.
on this memo?
Additional, right?
Additional.
The additional cost that we don't know what that is yet.
yes, I
Okay.
mean, obviously, in terms of your recommendation, that is what we're specifically referring to. I don't know if you want to elaborate.
So this still goes on the warrant, but we can say we don't recommend it?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's been printed.
Okay.
Okay, that answers my question. Thank you.
So the motion would be, so we're looking, what's that?
Point of order on the floor.
Point of order.
Yes, sir? Sure.
unexpectedly wearing my moderator hat. I just question whether the motion that's made is appropriate for the Select Board to take, as opposed to recommending or not recommending the article.
We
It
were
seems
just
to me
actually
that
clarifying
Just
that.
An action
clarify
to
that.
definitely postpone would be up to
Yes.
town meeting.
Correct.
I
that's-
didn't hear you, so, okay.
Yeah, no, good
Thank-
catch, but John, we were just trying to clarify exactly what it should be.
So I'm rescinding my motion. And I motion that we don't recommend.
Second.
Right. Any discussion?
Conscientious moderator.
Yeah.
All right, Michaela?
To not recommend, yes.
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 And I'm a yes. That's, yes, no.
Just wanted to make sure I got it right.
Except for Dennis Balzerini. Say it, Dennis.
Now, I motion to execute our Town of Mashpee's special and annual town warrant.
Second.
First and second, any discussion? You want to go through it all over again, Tom?
Just make sure
throwing
we
it out
have it
there.
right.
Michaela?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. All right. Well done. Execution, discussion of possible action discussion of possible action with regard to 2 debit exclusion ballot questions for the May 11th, 2024 annual town election warrant, wastewater Phase 2 funding, and repurpose FY 2024 capital bond for the DPW masonry wall. We actually did that, yeah.
Yeah, but
Do we,
These are the ballot questions here.
okay,
I don't
that's,
have that in my packet.
Yes, it's at the, well, should be right behind that. Yeah.
Oh, there it is, I'm
The new
sorry.
one?
I
The
got
old
it.
one.
yeah,
I got it.
The old one.
we had
So do you,
2 ballot.
why don't you read the ballot question? And then,
All right, so the ballot question as read, which is the ballot question for debt exclusion for wastewater and sewer collection system, May 11, 2024 town election. Shall the town of Mashpee be allowed to exempt from the provisions of the Proposition 2.5, so-called the amounts required to pay for the bonds issued in order to fund the implementation and construction of Phase 2 of the town's comprehensive nitrogen and wastewater management, treatment, and disposal improvement plans, including expansion of the water resource recovery facility adjacent to the town's solid waste transfer station, sewer mains, pump stations, and related sewer collection systems improvements, and costs relating to the acquisition of necessary easements and other interests in real property conveying the right to locate, relocate, erect, construct, reconstruct, install, operate, maintain, patrol, inspect, repair, replace, alter, change the location of, extend or remove piping, lift stations, low-pressure sewers, generators, odor controls, electrical and other necessary equipment and apparatus, including all costs incidental and/or relating thereto, and including without limitation all costs thereof as defined by Section 1, Chapter 29C of the general laws.
yes or no?
Wow.
And then this, now, do we have to
What's our motion?
approve them? Okay.
So a motion to recommend and approve? Is that?
Is that what we're looking for the
that what you-
ballot?
Yes.
Okay.
Second,
Recommend and approve. So I have a first
second.
and a second. Any discussion?
It's a lot of words.
Unless you want to read it all over, Tom.
No, it's not my favorite move. I'd rather see, honestly, my own opinion is I'd like to see the Phase 1 completed, and then we move on to Phase 2, but that's not what we're here for today. But that's how I feel.
Michaela?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
Now the second one.
All right, ballot question for debt exclusion of DPW masonry wall, police station design engineering, May 11, 2024 town election. Shall the town of Mashpee be allowed to exempt from the provisions of Proposition 2 1/2, so-called the amounts required to pay for the bond or bonds issued in order to fund the DPW masonry wall restoration project and the police station design engineering project, including all the costs incidental and relating thereto. And again, we're combining these because of the budgets, so they could, if one was a little bit high or low.
Well, so they were originally in the $8 million override before, so that's why they put up together, is because they were in that.
They were in the same, okay,
You're repurposing the debt exclusion.
okay.
A motion to recommend and approve.
Second.
All right, first and second.
It's a lot of money.
I know.
It is.
It's just a lot of
It
money.
is.
It's all at once. It seems like this budget is really up there this year.
It is.
I don't know what this is gonna do to a lot of the residents, that's all. But, I'll move forward and I'll try to do a better job in the future.
All right, call a vote. Carol?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Michaela?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. All right. Discussion and possible approval of sending a letter of support to the Cape Commission for Islands Pickle. For Island Pickle.
I don't know what it is.
This is, William Russell came before the EDIC and explained his pickleball. It's for profit, it's not a nonprofit, it's for profit, and he'd like support, a letter of support to the Cape Cod Commission. The EDIC has backed, and also Recreation Department has also.
Is this the one that's gonna be enclosed?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, my support
So
on that.
a motion to,
I should have said this in
Have
the
a letter
beginning.
of divorce.
I will abstain from discussion, but
right, a letter of support.
John
Cape
can't
Cod.
play in this.
Second.
Right. A motion for a letter of support to the Cape Cod Commission.
Second.
Yes,
Michaela?
Yes.
Tom?
yes.
And I'm a yes.
I don't think you need to abstain because you play pickleball.
it's, no.
No, just in case there's any, it's good that he does,
No, because,
of financing.
just a full disclosure.
Oh,
because-
that's totally different.
Yeah,
Because I have potential financing.
That's totally different.
exactly.
It's a possibility, so I'm abstaining.
Disregard my prior.
That's all right.
John, is that to authorize the town manager to send a letter off on your behalf?
Please.
Or do you want to sign it,
Ask the vice chair.
Vice Chair?
I'm
You
sorry.
want to
what was it?
I'm
authorize the
abstaining from
town
the
manager
conversation.
to write the letter and send it on your behalf for pickle? Or do you
pickleball.
want to have it made out to you guys and you sign it?
Yes, yeah,
You want to sign it?
yes,
Okay.
All right, we'll bring it back to you.
Yes.
At the next meeting.
yeah,
Okay.
that's fine.
Either way.
If it does happen, I will be playing pickleball.
Outside of inside.
All right. Liaison reports.
We have an additional topic
Oh, okay.
that you could not have reasonably anticipated.
I stand
I
corrected.
did not anticipate this. As I was working on the community development block grant this weekend, I came across, it's a complicated procedure, and there are many forms that have to go in. And one that I found is a contingency form. So I would like to ask if we've given the town manager, as the board, the authority to sign off and to make decisions based on this and be the,
So can I have a motion to?
motion to
add discussion and potential action regarding discussion regarding the block grant?
So moved.
All right, first and second?
Second, yeah, third,
Yeah.
fourth.
Yes.
yes,
Yes, Tom?
Yes,
Carol?
And that's because of the timing.
It is because of the timing. The grant has to be submitted next Monday.
Right.
So,
So, yeah, now it's on the agenda,
yeah,
so,
so it's a letter of contingency for a nominal amount of funds that could be used in case a certain project ran over and reimbursement hadn't come in during that time, so that you have some funds that you can rely on while you're working with the grant funds.
So do they want us to have a pool of money set aside?
They want us to be able to say, so I think a letter saying, from the town manager, saying that the select board authorized him to make a sum of money up to $16,000 available upon contingency. So it's not a match,
Just a pool of money?
it's, as I said, and I don't know that you would ever use it because you're putting in for these projects as you're doing them. But I think what would happen is, for example, the maximum amount that could be awarded to a homeowner who is hooking up to the sewer, then finds out they have a lead paint problem, and then on top of that has to have a new roof put in, right? They're covered under the grant. The town isn't paying for any of it. But say that came in, we have somebody else who had another plan, theirs came in at 12,000, this one came in at 48, we hadn't applied for the 12 yet, the town would pay the extra 3 until the funds came in. So it's to have money contingent upon an emergency. I don't know if I explained that well.
I'm okay if the board just authorizes that.
so do I have a
A
motion to authorize?
The town manager.
Second?
All right, first and second?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Yes,
Kayla? And I'm a yes.
thank you.
I have a liaison report. The bunny will be across the street at 10 o'clock on Saturday.
So 10 o'clock on Saturday, Easter Bunny's coming to town. Any other
And
liaison reports?
the chamber annual meeting and dinner honoring unsung heroes and Citizen of the Year is the 27th on a Wednesday at 5:30. So, and tickets, I think, are only available till this Wednesday. So if people are interested in attending, please get your tickets.
It's next week.
Where is it being held? Where is it being held?
New
At-
Seabury,
At
right?
the, yeah,
New
New
Seabury.
Seabury Club.
Any other liaison reports? Water quality updates? Town manager updates?
We did receive today information from Representative Vieira's office that the House adopted an amendment inserting the new language that the town of Mashpee will be authorized to lease certain land in the said town to the Boys and Girls Club of Cape Cod. So the House has engrossed the bill as amended. So now it's on to the Senate.
Wow. That's exciting,
Yeah.
very
You
exciting.
never know how quick that stuff is going to happen. Any other updates?
I don't have anything else.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
All in favor?
yes.
You sure you don't want to stay?
Yes.
Adjourned. Everybody have a good night.